Hello, everybody. How is my internet family doing today? We are live. Kevin Hopp here, host of Hop on Calls. We're going to be making some live cold calls today. Joining me, my boy Dom. Dom,
How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Great. I am doing great. Where are you sitting? Where are you?
I am sitting in a window room in my office in Boston, in our office. But yeah, it's a bit cold out today, but it's nothing like it was this weekend. This weekend was like -20, so a little bit better.
-20.
Yeah.
Wow. So you see this light that's coming in? It's
Mm-hmm.
actually called sunlight, and the world can see real quick. Look at this.
Oh, wow.
I do everything out of my garage home office, and in San Diego, California, it's probably what? It's a little chilly today. It's like 61 degrees. So sorry about that, -20, my guy. But San Diego is a beautiful, beautiful weather time here.
Yeah.
Dom, if people have never met you before, they don't follow you on LinkedIn, let's give a little background on your professional history and where you work and who you're going to call today.
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Odoguardi. I am a senior enterprise SDR here at Cognism. I'm relatively new to this role. I just graduated college in May, so I'm pretty young. But I'm having a lot of fun. There's a lot of challenges with this role, but I love overcoming obstacles. That's a big part of the job. What was the other question you asked? A bit more about me.
So yeah, who do you work for, and who are you calling?
Who am I calling? Yeah, good question. So I'm calling a mix of sales leaders. So we're looking at VPs, regional sales managers, SDR managers, as well as some BDR titles as well. And then I got a few marketing people in there, and I know how some of us feel about cold calling marketing people. They're not always as receptive. But I'm gonna try some new tricks today. See if I can get somebody on the phone and get some interest with some new openers I have in mind.
I love testing things. That's for sure. I'm excited to have you on. Do you know you were the first SDR on the show? Like, I think that's really important. It's funny. Like I've reached out to all these people who post about cold calling and outbound sales, and some people I reach out to, like the guru types, are like, "Ooh, live cold calling? Like, nah,
not it. No."
But the reason that I have you on the show today, fun fact, is Dom cold called me. You cold called me what, 4 or 5 months ago?
I think so. 5 months ago.
I made this face. I was like, "What? Who is this guy? What? This guy sounds good on the phone. Holy cow!" So I want to make sure that we can connect. We can get on the show. Without further ado, let's start calling. See if we can't get some conversations going. You and me both. Shout out. We're going to be using Kixie to make our calls today. Our title sponsor of Hop on Calls. Kixie is your all-in-one business telephony platform. Can handle everything that your business needs to do when it comes to communication, business texting, business calling, inbound calls, outbound calls. We're going to be using the Power Call feature. Kixie is deeply integrated with basically every CRM and every cadency tool out there. So we're going to be using Power Call to make a bunch of calls in a short period of time. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and hit go. As always, everybody out there watching and listening, you're not going to hear both sides of the audio. That's a legal compliance thing. If you want to hear the best calls, tune into the podcast. Podcast drops next week. It's always 1 week behind. But the podcast, we take the recordings and we edit them so you can hear both sides in the podcast, which is exciting. So Dom, talk to me a little bit about, as an SDR, how important is cold calling for you? Like what percentage of your quota do you usually hit from cold calling versus not cold calling?
So
you got fans in here, man. Katie's saying hello.
So I probably do 80% of my quota is from cold calling, maybe 85. But I try to be multi-threaded. I do my emails, my LinkedIn outreach. I've been progressively, at least I believe, getting better at it. But obviously, my strong suit is the dials. Just rip right through them.
I like it.
Yeah. I like talking to people on the phone a lot more than email, LinkedIn. Like, you get to actually understand the person. You get to hear their tone and stuff like that. So it's cool to see that.
You're thinking about it the right way, my man. The point of sending an email is to get a response. The point of sending a LinkedIn DM is to get a response. The fastest way to get a response is to call somebody, right? We want this back and forth conversation with people we don't know. That's the definition of outbound sales. And for guys like you and I, the quick nature of calling is kind of what draws me to it, right? I don't want to wait for you to respond to my email. I want to call you and talk to you right now about what's going on in your business.
Absolutely. Yeah. This power dialer is actually pretty cool. I'm getting used to it. It's the first time I'm using it, so I'm just seeing all the different where the info is laid out and everything. Oh, a Google Assistant.
Ooh, shout out to Precious, noting that
This is Dom. Oh, all right. I guess they didn't want the call. That was a Google Assistant. Not sure if you ran into those lately, but they're kind of hard to overcome.
Sometimes I do, but like not often, which is good. Yeah. By the way, when people hear me pitching, I'm calling on behalf of one of my clients, Silver Sky Technology, cybersecurity company. So when I pitch, it's going to be a cybersecurity pitch, a conversation about cybersecurity, just so people aren't caught off guard here.
And I will be pitching about my company, Cognism, obviously.
Man, we need some people to pick up off. Oh,
I know.
I'm on 14 dials over here.
I'm ready to talk. I'm on 9.
With no one picking up the phone. Can you believe it?
Oh.
Yo, we got a shout out from Zach. Thinks that you have a nice sweater. Are you wearing
a nice sweater?
Wearing Zach's sweater? Did you steal it?
I'm not. No, Zach actually sits next to me in the office. But this is a nice sweater. So thank you, Zach. I appreciate your kind words there, buddy.
Nice. Are you in office full time? Do you have to be in the office full time for your job?
So I'm hybrid. So I do 2 days in the office, 3-ish days at home. It depends. I come in sometimes more often because I like the camaraderie in the office. It's a lot more energetic, in my opinion.
Yeah. There is nothing like an SDR pit, an actual group of people that are all doing the same thing at the same time. That's, when I was an SDR in 2015, 2016, I was in office 100% of the time. Back in my day, we didn't have hybrid roles. We didn't work from home was not a thing. So when I was an SDR, it was a really good time, really fun in the office with everybody. We used to play music in the office as well. So
really, we do the same thing. We actually have an office DJ. Shout out Katie Hand. She has some good tunes we listen to while we cold call.
Love that, man.
Yeah, it's a good time. The office is fun, really.
Precious is asking, how often do you have these live cold calling sessions? I do this every Tuesday. Hop on calls the show. Check it out. Oh, hey, is this Bud? Yeah, my name's Kevin. I'm actually with a company called Silver Sky Technologies. Did I catch you at the minute to have a cool conversation, or are you like heads down something else? What are we talking about? Cybersecurity? Do you have a second to talk about that? Okay, you guys just signed up with a managed stock. So you're saying that you had just finished the process of looking for a security partner. You just signed a long-term agreement. So it probably wouldn't make any sense for us to have a conversation about cybersecurity because you haven't even really started onboarding with this partner, right? Okay. Fantastic. All right, bud. I will let you go. Have a great rest of your day. Cheers.
Bad fit?
Well, it's a bad fit if all right, and this is a really good one. This is really good. Like I'm glad we got this one. So Bud is a manager of IT. I'm calling IT personas. He said, what's the nature of the call? Very short to the point.
Hey Spencer, it's oh no, that's a voicemail. It caught me off guard. It said Spencer Justin. And I was like, oh, that's weird having 2 first names.
Yeah. So he was short, sweet, and to the point with me. So I was very direct with him. I had to meet him where he was. If I tried to be all flowery and tried to go into my whole pitch when he said, "What is this about?" that guy probably would have jammed on me, right? Because he had a no BS tone to his voice. So I hit him back with that. I said cybersecurity, and then he said, "Well, this will be a very short conversation. We recently decided to move on a new cybersecurity partner. We signed a 3-year deal, and we're onboarding with them now." So when you hear something like that, when someone tells you like, "Hey, I understand what you want to talk about. I just signed a 3-year deal about that thing that you're talking about. Not worth my time. Not worth an account executive's time. Moving on." It's a big blue ocean out there. Silver Sky sells, cybersecurity as a service. So like we could sell to any one of, a million companies. Don't need to talk. Don't need to like try to force it with somebody who is clearly not going to be able to do anything. Does that make sense? Just started. So do you have a script that you use every time you call?
So I did. We started off with a script. Obviously, being my first SDR job, I needed a script to get through the first couple of months. Now I more or less use a script as like a skeleton. Really just trying to hit on the key points, the value I'm trying to create some demand, obviously, but also the objection handling part of it. Some of those are going to be the normal ones, right? We use a competitor. Not interested. I don't have time right now. I don't have budget. So those ones I have something I use from the script. Sometimes I'll get some new objections I haven't heard of, like, my dog is barking his head off right now. I can't talk. So I just kind of makes things up on the flow there, on the fly. I mean,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Another voicemail in my ear. Precious has a question here. Kevin, even though that's the case, do you think it's okay to ask what features were important when selecting that?
Hey, Kimberly, it's Dom. How's it going? I'm doing good. Kimberly, I know I'm calling you out of the blue today. I'm actually reaching out from my company, Cognism. Did you maybe have 30 seconds I could borrow from you? Sure, yeah. I'll only take up a little bit of your time here. Don't worry if the line drops. Totally understand you may be busy. But yeah, pretty much the reason I was reaching out is because here at Cognism, we've been working with a lot of sales leaders like yourself, mainly to provide you and your team with validated mobile contact data for all of your prospects you're trying to reach out to, all your lead generation efforts. Curious, do you have a process right now for when you're trying to call one of your key prospects and they don't have an accurate mobile number? Mm-hmm. Sure, yeah. Business numbers usually. Okay. Are you guys doing a mix of emails as well? Or is just emails and directs? Got it. If you don't mind me asking, why haven't you guys moved to a more, multi-threaded approach with the mobile cold outreach? Or is it just not something, it fits in your industry? Mhm. Of course. Yeah, no, I definitely get that. Some people are definitely more receptive to a cold call than others. But I have been talking to a lot of sales leaders, especially in your space, and what they've noticed is that since the pandemic, a lot more people have gone to remote working, on the go work. So mobile numbers have really been a priority to use in their cold outreach because it's creating a more streamlined approach to get their decision makers more effectively, really. I know you mentioned you guys already have some platforms in place. If you don't mind me asking, what are you guys using as for a contact provider? Hmm. Yeah, no, totally get that. So yeah, you're probably reaching out to them when you do need the contact information, or are they bringing these leads down to you at the same time? Hmm. Okay. And if you don't mind me asking, how long does it really take to get back contact data for your top prospects if it is out of date or just inaccurate? Mhm. Mhm. Okay, yeah, absolutely, yeah. No, it sounds like you guys have a good system in place. Just to give you some background, I know I'm asking a lot of questions right now, but what Cognism does do is we provide a human verification program called Diamonds on Demand. So let's just say you or your reps are trying to reach out to their top prospects, and they don't have an accurate mobile number, or the email keeps bouncing. Maybe they switch companies, or even the direct dials. They're just not coming back. So what we do with our Chrome extension that hooks up directly to LinkedIn and Outreach, all of these big CRMs, is we have an option called Diamond Verify, and that verifies the mobile number for you, gets it back to you within 24 to 48 hours, as well as we have an option to flag the emails and direct dials. I know right now is a bit of a hectic time. You're waiting on another call, but did you maybe have 15 minutes we could get together tomorrow morning and just take a look at the data itself, see what coverage we do have in your addressable market? Mhm. Got it. Yeah, no worries at all. I mean, obviously, the solution isn't for everybody. You did mention, you are reaching out to a targeted list of prospects. We actually specialize in those niche sectors. So where a lot of the big providers, they come in, they may look at quantity over quality. We provide you with quality contact data for these niche specific target markets because we know that it's an underserved community at the moment. But I know I'm spewing out a lot of information right now. I know, you may not believe what I'm saying, but I'm happy to put my money where my mouth is. And show you the coverage itself and compare it with your current provider, see if it is something that could benefit, just increase connection rate. If not, obviously it's only 15 minutes, but just wondering if this is something that, I could get in front of your eyes maybe later on tomorrow morning or even Wednesday. Mhm. Yeah, no, I definitely understand that. Right now has definitely been tough with the economy and all, so I totally understand the budget constraints there. From my conversations with other sales leaders, I have noticed that they are proactively looking for new solutions, even when not in current buying cycles, just to kind of shop around, see what is out there for when the time does come. So, I mean, would it make sense to actually just give over a free trial to your reps, have you guys test it out a bit more, and see if it does affect the day-to-day basis. And that way we can reconnect later down the line when you guys are open for budget and have a more in-depth conversation then. Nice. Sure. Yeah, I mean, even in that case, yeah, sorry. Mhm. Yeah, totally. Even in that case, we could take that list of leads you guys do have and want to reach out to, and you can highlight which ones are inaccurate, maybe wrong numbers, maybe emails that are bouncing constantly, and we can just enrich it for you to show you exactly the coverage that we do have there. But I can definitely reach back out within a month. I know right now is definitely a busy time, beginning of the year and all. When's a good date? I could just throw a placeholder down for us to reconnect then. Monday morning. Okay, anytime on Tuesday morning work for you? 10 o'clock. Awesome. Yeah. Well, I'll send you over a quick calendar invite for that, just to reconnect and see, where we're at then. But I do appreciate your time today, Kimberly. I won't take up too much of your day here. Hope you have a good rest of your day. All right. Have a good one. Bye.
Wow. What a good back and forth. What a good live cold call that was.
Conversation.
That was a conversation. I feel like she threw you every objection in the
Every
book.
objection. Yeah.
If you had like a list of objections, like not a good time, no budget,
Yep.
not sure what makes you different, like that was fantastic. So
Yeah.
what do you think? What was the biggest barrier to not getting her to schedule a meeting?
So she was saying how her the prospects she's reaching out to are very targeted. She's in a very niche market. I'm using Kixie right now, and obviously this is the first time I'm using Kixie, so I wasn't sure exactly where to see the LinkedIn profile. Usually, when I call people, I pull up their LinkedIn, I check what ICP, who they're looking at, what
Yeah.
industry they're in. So I couldn't have used that, real life examples or scenarios.
Yeah.
But I was just, mentioning how what we here do at Cognism is specialize in those niche markets because they are underserved, obviously. And we do provide contact data for them in the verification process. Obviously, I mentioned there, but her other objections were budget wasn't great. Obviously, economy right now isn't great, so can't blame her for that. And then her other, she has an internal team that she's using that she sends. When she can't find contact data for prospects, she sends it to them. So maybe it's worth reaching out to the internal team, seeing if they could use a platform like us. But obviously, I'm going to reach out to her on Tuesday. I'm going to send her the calendar invite right now. Next month, Tuesday, and then go from there.
So do you find that, like, if you're calling, so what's interesting about like what you're calling about is everybody has a solution today, right? Like,
Yep.
not calling to introduce the idea that you should be reaching out to prospects. Like, they're doing it today. It's always a question of, okay, what are you doing for this? What's your strategy on that? And how is what Cognism does different than what they have today?
Mm-hmm.
So what I really liked about your talk track is you got very specifically into the mobile number thing, right? And
Absolutely.
the whole like diamonds are forever. Because this is like really, I think you would agree, your trump card. Like the thing that you have that that if you can get them to think that this is valuable, the idea that a fully verified contact record, something they could have access to at any time, they're going to buy into the idea that Cognism's a better vendor than the others.
Absolutely, yeah. Sometimes I even, go as far as as call out other vendors too, but she didn't mention anybody specifically, so I wasn't gonna push that. Really, where we see Cognism fit in the best is supplemental to a lot of the bigger ones, right? So you have like ZoomInfo, gold standard right there. They're targeting a huge part of the community, and obviously they can't get nitty gritty in those niche sectors. So that's where we come in, help out ZoomInfo in the markets that maybe there is some mobile data lacking there. So that's really where I pitch and pivot to, depending on how the conversation goes.
Makes sense, man. Makes a lot of sense. Well, good job. That was a really good one. I'm jealous, and I really want to have a good one. So I'm gonna get back into the queue here.
Get in there, yeah. I'll do the same.
So I want to circle back real quick. Precious had a question here. Even if it's the case that someone just changed vendors, is it important to think about what features are important? The reason I didn't push was this guy was very quick. Hey, this is Kevin with Silver Sky. Is this Jonathan? Hey, Jonathan. How you doing today? Fantastic. I know I caught you kind of out of the blue here. Do you have a second to have a cold conversation? Awesome. So I'm with a company called Silver Sky. We help businesses like yours develop a proactive cybersecurity posture. And I totally understand, I'm not introducing something that's a brand new concept to you. Everybody's doing something for cybersecurity today, but we're actually hearing a lot of consistent challenges when folks talk about what they're doing for cybersecurity around a few different areas. Mostly the visibility that folks have into their existing cybersecurity program, or the bandwidth of their internal staff to handle things like remediation, respond to threats on time. Any of these kind of resonate with you? Yep. No, it makes total sense. Can I ask real quick? So when you say you have everything sorted, do you outsource your cybersecurity to another vendor, or do you guys have an internal security operations team? Ah, fantastic. The last guy that I spoke to, I was actually speaking to someone 10 minutes ago. I mentioned, I said, hey, as an internal person trying to run a cybersecurity organization, as well as IT responsibilities and everything else, do you ever wish you were an octopus and you had 8 different arms to handle everything that's going on at once? I mean, what about you? Do you ever think that it would be nice if you had 8 different arms? You've heard that line before? Someone's actually brought up the octopus question before? Interesting. Okay. I don't show my records that I've ever spoken to, so I don't know if it was me, but probably a pretty remarkable cold call that you remember it, right? Totally. And that makes a lot of sense to me. The funny thing is, like, if you were interested, you probably would reach out to me instead of me having to reach out to you, right? So part of what I do is I try to have conversations about what is going on and uncover, the only reason you would ever think about looking at something else is if you had a business challenge or if you saw what we did as a valuable solution that could potentially plug into what you're doing today, right? The one thing that I do want to ask you about, and I don't know if I talked about this last time I called or whoever did, but the thing that we do very differently is we acquired a technology company called Cybraics. It's MXDR technology, so it's an evolution on the concept of traditional MDR. We are the only company in the world with this platform. Uses artificial intelligence to go beyond physical endpoints. Do you guys use a traditional MDR vendor today, by chance? Darktrace, fantastic. Yeah, a lot of our best customers actually had Darktrace as well. Would you be open-minded to learning about what we do differently than Darktrace? Okay, that makes sense. Okay, well, in that case, I might follow up with you here in like 90 days, not anytime soon. Maybe it might be a better time to have that high-level conversation. Yeah. Yeah, 5 a day. And do they all talk about octopuses when they call you? Right on. All right. Well, in that case, I'm gonna do the right thing, which is to let you go without trying to badger you for a meeting once again. I'll ride off into the sunset and maybe talk about octopuses with you another time. Does that work? All right, Jonathan. Bye-bye.
How'd that go?
I don't think that I've spoken with this guy before. He was pretty insistent that I had. Kixie would have kicked him out if I so the way Kixie set up, like it won't call him again if he's if I disposition it and I disposition every call. So that was interesting. So the biggest thing that I was hit with there is I'm not looking for anything at the moment. I'm not interested, right? So then I go with the age old, the one that I love, which is like, yeah, of course you're not interested. You would have called me. At which point we got into it a little bit and what he's actually using for cybersecurity. At the end of the day, if someone has something that they're doing today, they have a solution in place, and there's no problems with it. The only thing that could get them to take a meeting is that they think that they're missing out on the party, right? Like the idea that like, hey, I have a CRM today, but what does your CRM do differently? You know what I mean? The different nature of what it is. And that's kind of why I drew this diamond, right? Like if I were you, I'd just talk about diamonds all day. It's what you guys do differently than any other vendor out there. So it can seed a little bit of that like kind of FUD nature. You know what FUD stands for, Dom?
No, I don't. What is
FUD, baby. FUD. It's the old school way of selling, and I'm not a huge fan of it. But when used properly, it's a really, really, really good, solid basis for having sales conversations. It stands for fear, uncertainty, and doubt. FUD selling. It's old school, right? So old school sales methodologies are all about making people, scared of what might happen and stuff like that. A lot of the sales gurus, a lot of sales ecosystem doesn't preach this kind of selling at all anymore because it's, kind of slimy sometimes. But I like the middle of the FUD the best. Instead of fear and doubt, I want to try and see if I can make someone who's certain about their solution think that they're uncertain about their solution. Right? Just think like, well, I don't have that. What do you do differently?
Yeah.
Right? So that's why I use a lot of feature language. I said, hey, it's MXDR. It's it goes beyond physical endpoints, and that might make him think, well, my traditional MDR vendor doesn't do that. Now, what could I get with that, right? So, FUD, man, FUD. Fear,
FUD,
doubt.
I agree 100%. I mean, as SDRs, BDRs, it's not just the goal to create some demand. It's really just to ask the right questions and see if there is a way there you can make their process better in any way, or give them something extra that they don't currently have, right? So we have to ask questions constantly to figure it out.
Totally. But one of the other things that it's so important. By the way, I just clicked go, so I'm back in the queue. One of the other things. Shout out to Ajinkya. How we doing? How we doing?
That's my guy right there.
Yeah, big fan. One of the things that is tough about the nature of being an SDR is before you go make a call on this list, just know no one's interested. They're not interested.
Yeah.
Right. So now that we know that you're not interested, let's try to have a conversation. And the conversation should always be about one of two things. The two things are business problems. Hey, this is Kevin with Silver Sky. Scott, how you doing? Fantastic. I know I'm calling you out of the blue here. Did I catch you with 30 seconds to have a cold conversation? Oh, not a good time to chat, huh? All right. Catch you another day. And we're off. Scott said, not a good time to talk. I have to go. I said,
it'd be like that sometimes.
Yeah, it's like that sometimes.
Right. On to the next.
What was I saying? I lost my train of thought. I think I was saying that before you call people, you know that they're not interested. So that once we get rid of that mental hurdle, we can then say, okay, if we know they're not interested, I'm not calling to see if they're interested. I'm calling to talk about business challenges and suggest valuable solutions to them. And those are what I talk about. And you're not just calling to find people who are interested. Because if you just call to find people who are interested, well, it's going to be a bad day.
Yeah,
no one's interested. If they were interested, they would have called you.
Yeah, I think on one of your last podcasts, you built that pyramid out, which I forget the name of it, but basically it highlights how many people out there are interested, how many people don't know that they're interested, and how many people really just, are not. They don't need it, right? And the large majority of people, like you said, I believe, are not interested at all. And I guess there's a small percentage there we have to tap into, right?
Yeah. So that's the buyer's pyramid. My boy Chet Holmes, one of the oldest legendary sales trainer, did the market research to find out that in any mature B2B market, there's only a small piece, about 3%, that is actively has the problems and is looking for solutions. AKA those are your buyers, right? This is a really good concept also for marketing to understand. A lot of marketers focus on capturing demand, but they don't do a good job at strategizing on how to create demand, which is basically what SDRs are doing, right? We're trying to go out here and have conversations with all of these people, which are people that have problems or don't know they have problems.
They don't know yet.
They don't know yet. And we can go have conversations with them about problems, and they could potentially be in it to win it. But the interesting thing is that there is always going to be a chunk of your market that just doesn't care, won't take a meeting, can't win it all, right? Over time you can, and marketing can try to generate demand out of this bottom about 30%, 1 in 3 people that just don't care, won't care. You can try to generate demand out of that, actually create demand instead of capture that demand through a lot of different things, content being one of those things.
Yeah.
All right, you in the queue? Let's get some calls.
I am. I'm ready. I'm going.
Right. It's ringing in my ear. Shout out once again to Kixie. I am 47 dials in. Having a good time.
I'm 32. You're beating me.
The dialer is rolling. All right. So, Dom.
Yep.
Tell me, what's the most unique thing you've done as an SDR to get a meeting? While we wait.
Most unique thing.
Yeah.
Oh, you really put me on the spot there. Let me think for a second. The most unique thing.
So I'll tell you the story of the most unique meeting I ever got.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So, you ever heard of a company called Sendoso?
I have not. No.
Sendoso is a sending platform. You can like send physical things to people.
Mhm.
And they've raised like $1 bajillion in venture capital. They're actually a really big company. And back in the day, the co-founder of Sendoso was a guy named Braden. He started a company called Coffee Sender. And I came across this in 2015 and said, oh, sick. I can send very easily in an email to any prospect a $5 Starbucks card.
Mm-hmm.
So I used my own money. I asked my manager first. I said, hey, can when I get some budget to do this? And he's like, no, like I'm not going to pay for someone's coffee. It was a silly idea, considered a silly idea.
Yeah.
So I used $25 of my own money, got 5 gift cards, digital gift cards, and sent out all 5. And I got 2 meetings from it. So people actually took the meeting to learn about what we were doing because I had an interesting message, but I also gave them $5 at Starbucks. So
it's not a bad incentive.
Yeah, not a bad incentive. Overall, I'm not a huge fan of like paying people to get into meetings, but what's interesting there is I went out and found that. No one told me to do it, right? And took the initiative, spent my own money, and made some money. Because like the thing that I always scratch my head is like, why wouldn't you? If you get paid $100 or $150 for setting a meeting, why would you spend $5 to get that $100? You know?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I tried doing a couple things like that before. I didn't get anywhere with the money, with giving gift cards and stuff like that. I do remember though, one of my first ones as an SDR, I made a video of me shooting a basketball, and I still have it on my desktop here. And basically, we have a basketball hoop in the office. It's a little tiny one with tiny balls. I said on the video, I said to the prospect, "Hey, prospect, if I make this in, you take a meeting. If I don't, then I will leave you alone for the rest of your life." So I photoshopped it or video shopped it, whatever you want to call it, where you could like clearly tell my hand was like pushing the ball into the hoop. And then I said, "Oh, I guess I made it. You know, you might as well take a meeting now."
Hey, Randall? Hey, Randall, how are you? Kevin here. He hung up. Sorry about that. Okay, so you photoshopped it so like you were like putting the ball into the hoop.
Yeah, so the video was literally, it was a normal video at first, and then you could clearly see my fingertips just like slowly guiding the ball into the hoop. And then at the end, it was a hello? Oh.
Let's go.
All right. One of those voicemails. They say their first name and then they pause for a second and don't say anything. Yeah, but I sent that out and the prospect laughed at it. They thought it was funny. We had a conversation. I didn't get the meeting in the end, but I mean, it was one of my first months as an SDR, so I don't know what I was expecting. Really just putting it out there to test it out.
They didn't take the meeting after all that?
Nah, I've had a lot of those. Like I've had a lot of times where I've done creative things, and in the end, they just didn't take the meeting. They appreciated, the persistency and the creativity, but I don't know. Maybe some of my prospects are jerks. Who knows? No, I'm kidding. But yeah, it's I guess it's tough being an SDR because you really do have to. You get shut down a lot, and you need to keep your head up, keep going, roll with the punches, and just see what happens. So. People are going to say no, right?
People are going to say no.
Don't let it affect you.
Yeah. I made a post one time on LinkedIn that went like kind of wildly viral. Mm-hmm. And it was because the people thought I was, crapping all over an SDR. But the post, I basically said, so I got a targeted email that I could tell the rep took their time. They did some research on me. They found my contact information. They sent me an email that was actually fairly relevant. It was about something that I was. It was like a recruiting platform, and I was trying to like place SDRs. I was trying to hire SDRs, but I'm not a recruiter, so I don't charge for that. Like that's not what I do. But in the post I said, I got this targeted email. It was really the SDR did a good job. I still unsubscribed. I still went to the bottom and clicked unsubscribe and just kept going about my day.
What?
And it just illustrates a really important part about sales and outbound sales, which is like you can do everything right and still be wrong.
Yeah.
Even though this person nailed it in terms of like what I do, what I care about, and what I might be looking for. I took one look at it, I looked at their website and went, no, I'm not going to use something like this. And I made that decision by doing a little bit of research. I consider that a win for the SDR, right?
I think so.
Back to our idea over here of not everybody's going to be your customer. Not everyone even has the business problems, right? Mm-hmm. He hit the problem on the head, but the solution was not a solution that I wanted to use. So it's tough.
Hey, Sean, it's Dom calling from Cognism. How you doing today? Yeah, I totally understand. This call is out of the blue. My name is Dom, like I said. I was wondering if I could borrow 30 seconds of your time to explain why I was reaching out. Got it. No worries at all, Sean. Well, I hope you have a good rest of your day. Guy doesn't like cold calls.
Look, very few people like cold calls, but everybody needs cold calls. You need cold calling in your life.
Exactly. I've been trying to test some things out lately for that objection. I've been seeing a lot as of lately in the enterprise space that people are very quick in the intro, and so the intro could make or break your call. And if you don't create some sort of value there, make them laugh, or say something personal, then they may just say not interested, right? Take me off your list, goodbye, and you just burnt the contact.
Yeah.
So
that's a concept that I call the false negative.
False negative. I've heard you say that before, yeah.
Negative. What's a false positive is when you think something is good, but it's not. A false negative is when you think something's bad, but it's not, right? Mm-hmm. Like when someone jams on you in the first, when you do your opener, does not mean they don't have business problems, does not mean they're not interested in your valuable solutions, does not mean you can't sell to them, right? A lot of SDRs take that and they go, oh, like big black marker on Acme Corporation, we can't sell to them. It's like, no. You didn't have the conversation. It doesn't matter. Like we can move on.
Exactly. Yeah. I think I tried that out the other day. This guy answered the phone. He was like, I'm in a meeting. What's up? What's wrong? Maybe he was waiting, for a call from his kid's school or something. I don't know. But I said, hey, man, listen, I totally understand. You're in a meeting right now. I don't want to take you away from your day. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I just hung up right there.
That's elite. Tom, yeah. I'm here to tell you.
Some people may disagree, but I felt like I was just going to burn myself at that point, right?
So. I'm here to tell you, as a guy who trains teams and SDRs for a living, that is an elite move. Elite callers hang up on other people. They hang up on prospects that are clearly busy, right? Because what they want to do is they want you to say what you're calling about so they can tell you as fast as they possibly can. I'm not interested. Take my phone.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I don't want to deal with that. So they don't want to deal with a cold call when they're busy. That's fine. I'll give you a call back later.
That's right. So do you do you find that, like, this is an age-old question, right? The age-old question of when's the best time to call. Do you find you have more success or less based on when you call?
So we ran some statistics. There was a post made by Cognism a while back, and it said 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. is great to call. Then it drops down. Then it picks back up 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. And the 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. I totally agree with. A lot of people are getting out of work. They're free. So I get a lot of pickups. I get a lot of connections during that range. Some people may be busy, obviously, but at least I get to talk to real people, right? But besides those statistics, there is no, great time to cold call. Everybody's different. You're talking to so many people in a given day. So don't give yourself an excuse not to dial just because it's 8:30 a.m., right?
That's right. That's why I hate those. I hate the posts that say, this is the best time to call. Because what that turns into, as someone who's, built a bunch of SDR teams, coach SDR teams, what that turns into is reps that say, well, I'm not going to call until blanky blank time. Oh, we have a meeting set during that time? Well, I'm not calling today.
Yeah.
It's like the best time to call is always.
Always.
The best time to call is again and again and again. never lie to yourself that because it's not the right time to call, I'm not going to reach out. Like, you should always be reaching out, right?
Exactly. I fully agree with that.
So the one thing, hey, this is Kevin with Silver Sky. David, how you doing? Fantastic. I know I am calling you out of the blue here. Do you have a second and I can tell you why I'm reaching out? 12 seconds. That's not going to be long enough for a conversation. If you like what I say, can we talk more? Or are you like busy? So David, I'm with Silver Sky. We specialize in helping businesses like yours develop a very proactive cybersecurity posture, but we understand that every business already has something in place. We also hear really consistent challenges when we speak to people like yourself, mostly around the visibility that you have into your existing cybersecurity program if you outsource it, or if you have completely internal cybersecurity, the bandwidth of your internal staff to handle remediation, respond to threats, find good talent in the market. Any of these problems kind of resonate with you, David? Oh, shoot. Okay, the wrong guy, barking up the wrong tree here. So if you were me, you were trying to have a conversation with someone at Packmore about your cybersecurity posture, who would you reach out to? Oh, man. Awesome. Cheers. Okay. David messed me up there. So unfortunately, I have some bad data, right? And bad data happens, right? I pulled this list from a very reputable data source that's not Cognizant, but he was all perturbed about the fact that I said that, hey, you're with Packmore, this company. He's like, well, Packmore's not even a company anymore. So that sucks. He also said he's not the guy. So very common people say like, oh, you want to talk about this? Like, I'm not the person for this. And the way that I ask that is something along the lines of what I just said, which was, if you were me and you were trying to reach out to somebody at this organization, who would you reach out to? Now, there's a little bit of magic in the saying, the part of it where it's if you were me, because it makes you human, right? And they think, okay, well, you're a person just like me. And if I was you, here's what I would do, right? Because the gut reaction is to say, well, if I were you, I wouldn't be in sales. Well, I wouldn't be cold calling if I were you, But you want to preempt that by trying to put them in your shoes, and like they'll lead with empathy, and they'll actually kind of point you in the right direction. I'll do that, or I'll drop some joke about dogs barking up trees, right?
Yeah.
If I'm barking up the wrong tree here. Which tree should I be barking up? Is it the big oak tree? Is it the birch tree? Like, which tree should I bark up? Let me know. I'm a barky dog.
So on that, actually, I wanted to run something by you, get your advice off of it. But I know one of my colleagues, he's pretty fast, tech dexterity and all. So when he's on the phone with somebody and they say, hey, I'm the wrong person, he quickly goes to LinkedIn, finds the correct department and starts listing off people's names and say like, hey, I told you to say, bark up the wrong tree with you, but would, Jennifer be the person to talk to regarding lead generation, or would it really just be Corey, something like that. Yeah. But what is your opinion on that? I know it takes some skill, but
yeah. So that's actually a move that I'm big on, and you'll find if you do that, the odds of someone giving you the right information is probably 3 or 4x higher, right? Because it shows that you have a little bit of context there. What's like one of the biggest problems with cold calling is that a lot of people want to keep you on the surface. They want to keep the conversation up here where it doesn't really matter. But we want to get in there. We want to get in there and have conversations with people where they tell us real things. We talk about business problems, valuable solutions, things like that. So the more familiar you can be with someone when you call, and the more familiar you can be with their organization, that's an elite move. Being able to drop names right there on the phone. It's a little bit like the same concept applies to when you're trying to ask them what they're doing today, right? Like for you, you could like lead the witness by saying, yeah, I bet you use ZoomInfo today, right? And people are more likely to say, no, we don't use ZoomInfo. We're a Lucia shop. We're a Lead IQ shop or whatever. more likely to correct you because people's brains don't like incorrect information, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a piece of like psychological. It's a psychological fact that people will try to correct you if you're wrong more than they will volunteer new information. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. Yeah, I might actually use it on my next call here.
Yeah,
So I was gonna pick up. I
And
see
that,
you guys using Lucia for that seamless. Zoom info, what's going on? But
drop a vendor, and 9 times out of 10, they will correct you on
mm-hmm.
what vendor they're using. So the way I do that with my script, the cybersecurity script, is I talk about the two ways that people handle cybersecurity, which is you outsource it or you insource it, right? Or somewhere in the middle. But talking about that allows them to say, oh, A or B, I'm A or I'm B. And then you can understand exactly how to go into it and what makes you better, different, etc.
Yeah, I think it's a good mindset to have. Call them out. Just do it.
We got 9 more minutes, man. Can we get a meeting? It'd be good to get a meeting. It'd be great to get a meeting. I'm in the queue.
I need your pickup. Just want one conversation. So, like I was mentioning before, this is the first time I'm using a power dialer like Kixie. And I know that you can go from a range of, make one dial at a time to all the way to 10. Obviously, if you go to 10, you need more expertise to do those dials. And like you said, you may be burning some contacts if you are doing a lot of dials at once. But where do you think is a perfect middle ground for somebody who is used to a power dialer? Is there maybe too much?
That's a really good question. And I have a lot of experience with this, working with dialers, other than Kixie too. I've worked with, probably 6, 7, 8 different dialers. So the sweet spot is 3. Three calls at a time. You want 3 calls at a time. Because if you do more than that, you tend to because if you're so with Kixie, we're calling all at the same time. So these people are all 3 of their phones are ringing in their pockets at the exact same moment.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have 5 and one of them picks up, it does hang up on the other 4. So that is something you want to avoid, because the more you call and hang up, the less likely they are to pick up in the future, right? Because you just become that annoying, like, what is this?
True. Yeah.
You don't want that. So the game is, how do you maximize your efficiency while minimizing the negative impact of calling? And I find that it's 3 calls at a time. So I coach the teams that I work with to not do more than 3. Because if you do more than 3, it's going to have that negative effect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I switch up my numbers a lot actually, because I know that I call from the same number a lot.
Yeah.
So if I have a prospect in sequence for more than maybe 10 days, I'll start switching up the number I'm calling from, just because they've seen my number like 8, 9 times already. If they're not picking up there, they probably won't. So
that is a great point. That switching your number is a great way to do it. Ding, 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 ding. Man, so riddle me this: how did dialing during the holidays work out for you?
Hey Matt, it's Dom calling from Cognism. Is this a good time? No worries at all, Matt. I know it's middle of the day here. I don't want you to take you away from your work. When's a better time I could reach back out, have a more in-depth conversation? Do you have, maybe a minute to speak? Again, I don't want to take you away from your day. Yeah, I'll give you the brief. I'll give you the Spark Note version of it. But pretty much, I'm reaching out to you because here at Cognism, we're working with a lot of sales leaders, and we're helping to provide validated mobile contact data. So I assume you guys are using something like Zoom Info at the moment, right? Of course. No, I hear you. I saw you guys on LinkedIn. It is pretty big there. Maybe you could help me out, just put me in the right direction here. I was looking to speak to somebody that was maybe heading up a team of reps doing their outbound calls, or maybe even somebody in marketing that's trying to refresh some MQL data that's coming in that may be inaccurate. No, I totally get it, man. No worries at all. By any chance, are you the one making the cold calls yourself? Okay, partners. Got it. Yeah, well, I won't take up too much more of your time here, but I appreciate it. All right, have a good one. Bye. Yeah, not my ideal ICP. Works in partners. Some of these enterprise titles are a bit wonky, so you got to make sure you read their bios.
There you go. I like how defensive you are at the beginning of the call. Like you call the way that I teach people to call, which is to be very defensive of time and to avoid that like gut reaction of, oh, I'm not interested, or blah, blah, blah. Like you're very defensive with with your prospects.
Yeah.
And I think that leads to a lot better conversations.
Well, this guy said, once I did my intro, he said, I don't have time. What's up? And I was like, oh, well, if you don't have time, then I'll just let you go then. And he was like, well, tell me what this is about. And so I said, well, do you have a minute? We can chat here. He's like, sure. What's up?
I'm so busy right now. I can't talk. What is this about? Talk to me. I can't talk. Talk to me. Man. There's I've talked about it a lot on this show, like the human nature of why people pick up the phone when they're genuinely busy. Like I'm not that guy. Like you will not catch me like stopping something important to pick up a random phone call. Like I will send you to voicemail real quick. And if it's important, you'll leave a voice message, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I had someone call me. So my cell phone rang in the first 5 minutes of this live today. And I double clicked it, sent it to voicemail. I went to my voicemail where they left a voicemail. I saw a transcription and I understand exactly who that was, why they were calling. It was a doctor's office saying that, stuff is okay with whatever. And that was a perfect little communication where I didn't have to, do anything. So let me ask you about this. What are your thoughts on voicemails?
Voicemails. So I actually, if it's completely cold and I have nothing to talk about with the person, I won't do a voicemail. Yeah. But if it is a follow-up, if it's gotten to like a warm lead, and obviously there's something there to say, I will absolutely leave a voicemail. I saw a template on LinkedIn not too long ago, and basically it was don't say your name first. Say, hey, I just gave you a call. No need to reply. No need to call me back. I actually just sent you over an email with a subject line blank, right? Whatever it is. Feel free to hit me back up on there whenever you get a chance. This is Dom from Cognizant. So I've been using that a lot more. Before, when I first started being an SDR, I was just saying, hey, this is Dom from Cognizant. I know I couldn't get you here. Just wanted to see if it would be a good time to chat. Could work. But I've been seeing a lot more opens on my emails from that voicemail. So that's why I stick to it.
So you mentioned that the voicemail points to an email. That's the way I teach it as well. So the voicemail itself, I think the number one mistake people make with voicemail is thinking that your sales voicemail is going to get someone motivated to call you back and have a sales conversation. Mm-hmm. I've got into a ideological argument with a past employer or a past boss of mine, let's put it that way, around the idea of he thought that, every sales rep should leave a voicemail every time. And when they do, they should say like, this is Kevin with my phone number is and then repeat it twice. Mm-hmm. It's like a 1 minute long voicemail on a cold call. And we did this whole campaign. And I said, look, I promise you, if we have the reps do that no one's going to get a call back. And they wasted all his time doing it. And I was right. And he was wrong. Yeah. Long story short. But, voicemails are really good in terms of multi-threading to get people to look at emails. But the point of a voicemail is not to get a call back, which is actually kind of counterintuitive because if you call your buddy, right, if you're calling your mom or you're calling your friend, the point of your voicemail is to get a call back. But sales is just different, right? Like cold outbound sales is different. And if you understand the nature of cold outbound sales, then it can be a lot, you can be more efficient with your time because time is the only thing that we all have a fixed amount of, the exact same amount of.
Absolutely.
Speaking of time, my guy, it is time for us to stop cold calling live. Everybody, please tune in to the podcast. Hop on calls anywhere that you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, whatever you're doing. You can find Hop on calls there. Dom, my man, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Kevin. It's been a blast.
Conversations. It's been a good time. And everybody, I'll see you next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Cheers.
See ya.